All right, welcome to Module 2. Listen, failure sucks. I don't care if it's in the sport, in the business world, in any level, failure sucks. You know it, and I know it. So listen, here's how we can prevent a lot of failure. If you remember in Denver, I told you, fail at 100%, right? That solves for a lot of failure. But also when you get advice from people who are doing what you'd love to do, you can see the mistakes, or what we're gonna talk about in a minute, the landmines early. And getting advice can truly prevent a lot of failure in your life. And let me tell you, and I'm gonna tell you some stories in this module as well. 100% of the time that I have not gotten advice, I have failed. That's how I've learned this, is because failure sucks. And every time I think I'm that smart, I fail. I'll tell you some stories on that. And that's why I say you gotta find the landmines early, all right? Because someone who's been doing something for a long time just simply knows more than you know. Here's two examples. If I'm gonna go buy a new truck, all right, and I'm gonna spend 60, 80 grand for a new truck, and I find I'm an extrovert, but if I go to the grocery store and I see you pull up in the truck that I'd love to own, and you're walking across the parking lot, I will walk up to you and say, hey, can I get your advice real quick on your truck? And they'll be like, what? I said, this is one question, just one question. What do you not like about your truck? And I'll let them tell me, here's why. Is because I've taken that truck on an 8-mile test drive, if that, maybe 5. They've driven it 30,000+ miles. They know everything about that truck that I don't know. And before I invest 60 to 80 grand, or in your case, years of your life, how about we learn the good and the bad and the ugly now, all right? Here's another example, is years ago, I've done a lot of all-day workshops, but when I hadn't, I got a call from a company in Iowa, and they wanted me to do an all-day workshop. And they said, Steve, have you done all-day workshops? You know, do you do all-day workshops? And I was like, all the time. I'd never done one, right? And said, yes, and I'll figure it out. I had 3 months to figure it out. They said, great, we're gonna do this, we're gonna do that. It was a big money deal. So I said, great, well, I don't know how to do an all-day workshop. So I called a buddy of mine, his name's Bill, and I said, can I buy you lunch, Bill? Because I knew he gave all-day workshops all the time in his business. And I took him to lunch and I said, help me, what do you do? Well, he laid out all the things not to do, all the landmines, all right? And I was like, ooh, I did not know that. I didn't know this and I didn't know that. He laid them all out for me over a $15 lunch. And I went back, I said, can I buy you lunch again in 2 weeks? He's like, sure. So I went back, got it all prayed, ready to go, took him back to lunch, showed him it, he tweaked it again. Then I went a few weeks later, did the all-day workshop. I was a rock star. It worked out well. They were thrilled. And honestly, I would have given some of their money back just to let them see the fact that this was my first time to ever do this. But listen, when I got back to my hotel room after that long day, the first person I called was Bill. Because without his advice and his landmines that he laid out for me with his decades of knowledge, I would have failed miserably. I would have failed miserably and it would have been a horrific day. But with his advice and knowing where all those landmines were and how to avoid them, I killed it. That's what we're talking about with advice, is if you think you can go out there and do it on your own, you're going to fail and it's going to hurt. Because, you know, that's what I say on here is success makes you think you're smarter than you are. Bought the t-shirt. You go out there and you get some success and you're like, you know what? I don't need these other people to tell me. I just got it. Trust me. It's gonna hurt. Because when you're successful, it makes you think inherently that you just don't need advice, and you do. And again, the reason I'm so adamant about this is because the failures that I've incurred by not getting advice are huge and painful, and they suck. And every day of my life, I'm usually asking somebody what their advice is on something that I'm doing. Now, again, I don't have to do it, but I might as well hear from somebody who's either smarter than me or doing what I'd like to do, what they would do. Follow me here? That's why I'm saying you can't be an army of one. If you think you can, I'm probably not the guy for you and you're gonna fail. So listen, you've got to get people around you that are willing to help. And remember, with advice, people are loving to give you advice if you just ask. All right, if you just ask. And like I say here, without it, it hurts. You know, years ago, last story on this module, just to illustrate why advice is so big for me, is I was part of a group building a subdivision in a neighboring city. And this was back in like 2006, 2007, right before the real estate crash. And, we were deep into the whole thing, and I didn't ask any advice because I'm that smart. We're just that smart of people. We're going to build this really cool subdivision, make millions of dollars. It's going to be great. Well, 2008 hit, the market crashes. It's a train wreck, an absolute train wreck. And finally, about a year into this pain, I realized I've got at least 4 or 5 people on my network back then that are literal experts in the real estate world. And I called one of them and I said, hey, I need your help and I need your advice. He said, sure. We drove to the city. We sat in the clubhouse of this neighborhood with no homes in it, roads, all the infrastructure, millions of dollars spent, the pool's there and everything's there, no homes. And I laid out for him, what can I do? I need your advice. This guy had built cities. He's built literal cities all over the country. He is an expert in home building. And I said, his name was Charlie. And I said, Charlie, what do you do? And I'll never forget. He said, Steve, because it was bad times, right? 2008 had hit, it was now 2009. I'm in a world of hurt financially and everything else on this place. And I'll never forget, he said, Steve, he goes, this wouldn't have worked in good times or bad. I was screwed day one, and I didn't know it because I thought I was that smart. And it cost me millions of dollars to get out of that problem. And if I had just asked one of these 4 people in my life for some advice beforehand, it would have saved me years of anguish, years of hard work, and several $1 million. This is why getting advice prior to jumping into the pool is so much wiser than jumping into the pool and then trying to figure it out because you will drown. I've done it and I don't want it for you. Advice can really save you. So think about that as we go into the next module.